strange thing to be in a school of performing arts that only has music in it. We don't have dance, we don't have theater, we have an opera musical theater program, but nobody who just does theater.
Yeah, we received email that said that we're going to be called to a meeting, and it was about theater. That's all we knew. The meeting was held in the second floor lobby of the Cowan Center. It really wasn't a meeting at all. We came together to be notified that theater was having space taken away from them.
There have been several instances where students talked to the administration about a drama department, but it never really found a foothold.
I love being in Tyler, knowing that I've spent 2 years that are very revolutionary for me as a person and a performer. It's sort of upsetting that I'm going to have to leave everything that I've come to know and love behind.
Most are unaware that the University of Texas at Tyler had a theater department in the past. What happened all those years ago? And is there any interest for a department in the future?
I've been at UT Tyler for, this is my 17th year. When I came here as chair. I was chair of music from 2001 to 2008, which was the period in which the theater program was removed.
There was not a whole lot of activity going on until they hired James Hatfield, who was there for some time, and he built a curriculum and a course offering. He built a degree that you could get a degree in drama, undergraduate degree in drama, and he did a regular season of plays. But basically, he was a one-man department. His specialty was design, technical theater, and they performed in a multi-purpose room that was used before and after by the physical education department.
I remember my first semester on the job as chair. I was called into a meeting with the Cowan Center staff. My supervisor at the time was a person who we would call probably a sub-dean. He was considered the head of visual and performing arts, art, music, theater, Supervisor John Webb. And we received an email that said that we're going to be called to a meeting, and it was about theater. That's all we knew. The meeting was held in the second floor lobby of the Cowan Center. There was a table that had been set out there, a table that seated about 8 or 10. I remember there was Dean Dickerson at the time. She was Dean of College of Arts and Sciences back then. There was Susan Tomei-Morphew, director of the Cowan Center. In addition to myself and Dr. Webb, there was Dr. Jim Hatfield, who was chair of theater at the time. It was a fairly packed meeting. The thing that sticks out in most of my mind of this event was it really wasn't a meeting at all. It was we came together to be notified that theater was having space taken away from them.
There were issues with the administration and the department, and I know that eventually 10 years ago that the administration ended the program, ended the department.
The chair of theater was flabbergasted. He was actually quite angry. He had no idea this was coming. All of us were blindsided. He started to speak, and the dean actually told him, "Be quiet, sit down." I was shocked. There was not even a discussion why it should be taken away or what was going to happen. It was just told, this is going to happen, and that's all there is to it.
And that was the end of it. There have been several instances where students talked to the administration about a drama department, but it never really found a foothold.
Although administration made the decision to close the curtains back in 2003, there is still student and faculty interest in bringing back the theater department.
Student organizations really should come from sort of student interest, I think. But I had a really big interest in theater, and so it was I was the one who got it off the ground last year. I helped the students found a theater organization.
I was very heavily into theater before I came to college. When I came here, I was like, okay, I want to get back into it. And then I found out that there wasn't theater anymore, and I got to talking to Dr. Cullings, and he went to school for like musical theater and stuff like that. So we just got to talking. He was like, well, why don't you think about starting a club? And I was like, hey, yeah, that'd be cool. And he was like, okay, cool, well, I'll sponsor it. And we got just kind of come up with things. And so we just came up with it.
Yeah, a lot of our music students, like me, are really interested in theater and have a theater background. And I thought it's a shame that a university that's got 10,000 students doesn't have a theater program anymore. So I would really like to see it grow into something bigger even. But so it started last year in 2016, 2017, and we basically had kind of like monthly meetings and put on a couple of small events. Over at Eagles Landing, we had a couple of improv nights where people would just get together and sort of play theater games and do improv. We haven't done any productions of any kind because we're a small group and don't have much of a space really yet to do, but hopefully in the next year or two we'll be putting on some small scale productions as well. So
There have been no official theater productions put on by the club, but Devin Coates, a composition student at UT Tyler, wrote, composed, directed, and conducted his musical, Stringed, as his senior recital. It had its debut in the UC Ballroom in October of 2017.
It was just an idea, I guess, that Dr. Collins and I tossed around. It was kind of a project that I had started several years beforehand, just because I'm a creative person and I like to do things. And I just kind of had this little idea. And then school was the primary focus for the last several years, so I wasn't actively working on extracurricular projects. But it came up, and I really jumped on the opportunity to bring in one of my passion projects and make it a curricular project. And I don't know, we talked at first about maybe just doing a one-act thing, or maybe just an unstaged set of songs from it, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and then it ended up being a full-blown thing.
So Devin is my applied student. He's a composition major. He's in his last semester studying here, and that was his senior capstone project, and I'm his advisor for that class. So yes, for the last 2 years, he's been composing that piece in pieces as class projects, essentially, under my guidance. Most of our composition, our composition degree has a capstone, which is to put on a concert of chamber music, original chamber music that you've written that's 45 to 60 minutes in length. And so we sort of, I knew that Devin was involved with this project that I think at the time was a novel, and I said, well, why don't you, we talked about, well, why don't we just turn this into your recital instead? So yes, that's been my involvement with the show.
Dr. Gollings actually has his degree in stage music, and there's no theater department here, so he doesn't ever get to exercise those muscles, So as soon as this idea came up, he was very, very supportive of it, and very encouraging. I think he wanted to do it just as much as I did, and we just went from there. So Atiana and Dr. Gollings and myself, and I think a few other interested people, talked about putting together a student organization for theater, because it's odd that we don't have a theater department, honestly, and we get inquiries all the time. People are asking what's available, what we can do, and we're like, there's nothing. So we thought the best thing to do for now that we could manage with what we had was to make a student organization where we could get a little bit of funding and also have the ability to reserve space and at least kind of try to get people interested in the idea. So we could maybe not do a full-blown production, but we could do like game nights, improv nights, some readings, things like that, just to kind of maybe awaken the spirit of theater at this campus, just in little ways.
We've had students who hated to leave the area. We've had students to settle in the area and just stop their theater.
I love being in Tyler, and I absolutely love the people here outside of the department and in the department. So knowing that I've spent 2 years that are very revolutionary for me as a person and a performer, it's sort of upsetting that I'm going to have to leave everything that I've come to know and love behind.
Many do not know, but several years ago, Tyler Junior College and UT Tyler had an agreement where the students would complete the first 2 years at TJC and then transfer to UT for the final 2 years. Could this be done now for theater? Could it work?
There was a hope years ago that both departments could work together on projects. That was a possibility. It's still a possibility where we would teach the foundational courses the first 2 years. They would teach the next 2 years. We would work together, their faculty, our faculty, or those of our faculty who could bridge the gap.
It could work. There's a couple of factors. One of them is logistics. First step is I think is in any kind of curriculum change is trying to prove to a university they should spend the resources. The best way to do that is to get a survey of the TJC and possibly Kilgore and Trinity Valley students and see how many of them would put their name on paper saying, if you were to have a theater program, I would transfer to this school. I mean, that gets people's attention, not we did a survey, but you have people's actual names and emails that can be contacted.
Oh yeah, if there was a program similar to TJC's program in Tyler at the university, that would definitely be on the top of my list just because of the fact that I would be able to continue doing what I love in a town that I like and in sort of the same style that I've been training in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would make a lot of sense. It might be a good sort of bridge toward building rebuilding a theater program here. Yeah, I think a partnership or a connection with TJC in that way would certainly be a good place to start.
For that type of situation, it would have to be both faculties would have to be like-minded in their aim and goals and objectives.
It could be really good for TJC too, knowing that there's, a local way to further your education in the area, just focusing on it all here. So it could be good for both campuses.
And that's a possibility. I think it would still be a possibility to be able to work together to offer a department of theater. The whole idea of theater is about coming together and working together on a project. All sorts of things could be possible. It'd be exciting. But you have to be willing.